history buffs. Ready for a journey back? Look at this encampment. The spirit of 76 is alive.
Freedom of future. A true patriot savors these moments, but the fight for liberty calls. To the encampment for freedom of future.
For liberty. This is what American patriotism is all about. Look at these flags. They represent our fight for liberty.
The hour our liberty is at hand. For freedom is brava. Secure our liberty. My fellow patriots, the hour of decision is upon us. Let us march forth with courage to secure our liberty.
Welcome to my colonial home. Today, Del Payne's work captures the spirit of we fight for independence. And our freedom. Greetings from the encampment. The spirit of liberty is strong. We will fight for our rights and our freedom.
Hour is late. We must enact. To the encampment for liberty. Soldiers, the enemy is near. Front line, flapping.
All right, thank you. Welcome to the new party. It's Mia hosting. If I do a bad job, don't say anything in the comments.
I'm Gray Mars.
I'm Nora Christine.
I'm Skeptic.
Now, come on.
And today we're going to be talking about the Lindsay Clancy murder trial that is happening in Plymouth County down in Massachusetts. Today is day 12 of her murder trial. And Lindsay Clancy is on trial for the murder of her 3 children. Ages, Cora is 5, Dawson was 3, and Callan was 8 months. And the argument may be that she might have been mentally incapacitated due to postpartum psychosis at the time that she did this. She also made an attempt to commit suicide by slitting her wrists, cutting her throat, and throwing herself out of her back window, landing her in her backyard in snow. So we're going to go over some of the facts, and hopefully we can weed through some of the myths, some of the facts, and we can get a better picture of understanding what's going on. The court case is being live streamed on Court TV, so definitely keep track of that and definitely tune into Court TV because it is live daily. So I really want to start with this clip here. So this is from day 1 of the trial. This reads out all of her charges and how she pled to all of these charges.
On or about January 24, 2023, at Duxbury, in the county of Plymouth, did assault and beat Cora Clancy, intend to murder her, and by such assault and beating did kill and murder said Cora Clancy. On docket number 2383 CR00198, offense 002, on the charge of murder, the jurors of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts on their oath present that Lindsay M. Clancy of Duxbury in the county of Plymouth, on or about January 24, 2023, at Duxbury in the county of Plymouth, did assault and beat Dawson Clancy with intent to murder him, and by such assault and beating did kill and murder the said Dawson Clancy. On docket number 2383 CR001, offense 003, charge of murder, The jurors for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts on their oath present that Lindsay M. Clancy of Duxbury, Plymouth, on or about January 24th, 2023, at Duxbury in the County of Plymouth, did assault and beat Callum Clancy, intend to murder him, and by such assault and beating did kill and murder the said Callum Clancy. To these indictments, the defendant at the bar pleads not guilty and for trial places herself upon the country. Which country you are. You were sworn to try the issues. If she is guilty, you shall say so. If she is not guilty, you shall say so and no more.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to add that one. So far, she has actually pled not guilty to all of these 3 murder charges by essentially reason of insanity. So does anybody have any questions or anything like that before I move on?
No, I got something to say.
Mm-hmm.
Today I watched her cry when she heard how her babies were killed. I got no sympathy for her. She's guilty, guilty, guilty. She don't want to hear about the facts of the trial. She should have pled guilty. I have zero sympathy for her. There are millions of women around the country that have postpartum, have nobody helping them, have no support, no husband, no this, and they don't go killing their kids. So sorry, not sorry.
What's the difference between this case and Andrea Yates? Because I think the only other case that I know of where the mother had, what do they call it? Postpartum psychosis, which I've heard of as a, like I've heard of it as something that has been diagnosed to someone. I don't know what the difference is between Andrea Yates because it seems very similar. They were both married. They both had been suffering with mental health issues for a while because from what I understand, she had been in and out of a program, right? And she was a nurse herself.
Yes.
She was a labor and delivery nurse. Yeah, which is kind of like, okay, so she obviously is educated in this field. So I think she was trying to get help. What I'm not understanding is she she's trying to get an insanity plea? Like, is that what she's doing? Is that what she's going through the trial? That she doesn't want to be just sentenced?
So I think, her defense lawyer, Reddington, seems to be setting up an insanity plea at the time that she committed this. She was under psychosis and over-medicated. And that would make her criminally not responsible at the moment of the crime, of the committing murder of the 3 children. So that seems to be the angle that he's going at thus far. Obviously, they could find her not guilty, and she would be sentenced to go to an insane asylum, for lack of a better term. Mm-hmm. Or they find her guilty, and she's going straight to prison.
Did all 3 of her kids, were they all unalive? Because I know one of them, the baby, had made it, right?
So he made it only for a couple days. So they were able to medevac him. He was able to be revived. However, he eventually succumbed to his injuries and he eventually died. So the 2 oldest were dead on scene. And then the 3rd was med flighted to various hospitals. They were able to revive him. However, that was extremely short term. And I believe he was dead within 24 hours. So
was she hurt in any way, or was she just sitting outside?
Yes, she was, in my professional opinion, she was extremely hurt. She was definitely fucked up, for lack of a better term, for sure. Like, she's like paralyzed for the rest of her life, among other numerous injuries. But yeah, no, she definitely sustained some injuries. I have noticed a lot of people are pointing out alternate theories because there was no investigation into other individuals that may have opportunity, means, and motive. However, the police are going to work with whatever they have there. And for the most part, the police did their job. I combed through a lot of the original unsealed documentation, so we can go through some of those.
I'm just confused. Why was her husband not home? Because I thought he was working from home.
She sent his ass out to go do errands. This is why this shit is premeditated, skeptic. She had enough thought to say, get out. The other chick, Andrea Yates, her husband went to work every day and she was home with the children. I have more sympathy for Andrea Yates than I do this broad, because Andrea Yates was stuck with those babies day in and day out. and he shouldn't have kept having her have kids. I do believe after 4 or 5 kids, you're in hormones build up in your system. I had more sympathy for Andrea Yates, and I believe that her baby was only 2 or 3 months at the time, the last one, when she did what she did. And part of it was a brainwashing by a cult that she was in. I had more sympathy for her than I do for this broad, because again, the husband was out because he's working, and she had no support. She had no help. This chick had a husband. She had a whole family. Like, I'm sorry, don't feel sorry for her. And she was a medical professional. So like, I don't know. It's just a lot of odd things with this trial where it's like, I do believe they over medicated her and that caused the psychosis. So yes, I have sympathy in that regard, but you need to go to prison for the rest of your life. And I don't even think prison is enough. I think they need to castrate her so she can't have more kids by chance, by a guard or somebody. And they also need to give her the death penalty, but that's just my opinion.
How old was the youngest one of her children?
8 months.
8 months. Okay. So she was 8 months postpartum.
Yes. All right. So I have a couple. Let's go with this one. So I did find
those debated cases in Massachusetts.
Just a couple clips of some other content creators that are going over.
Nurse,
like a brief
synopsis. It has all the factors that people look for when they
this is a pretty good one.
Things. The defense argues she was suffering from severe postpartum psychosis, a possible undiagnosed bipolar disorder, and the effects of rapid psychiatric medication changes. The prosecutors argue she planned the killings and knew exactly what she was doing. So I'm not here to discuss, guilt or innocence. We're not doing that yet. Trial has just begun. We know what she did. What I want to go over from an RN perspective is the medication timeline. So in September 22, the anxiety begins increasing after maternity leave concerns. At that point, she's put on Zoloft 25 mg daily. Early October 2022, Zoloft was then increased from 25 mg to 50 mg daily. On October 20th of 2022, the Zoloft was DC'd because she was having worsening anxiety and insomnia, and they prescribed Ativan or lorazepam 0.5 mg prescribed PRN or as needed. And then they added Benadryl HS, which means it was for sleep. It was at nighttime. By late October of 2022, so we're still in October, Buspar 5 mg was started for anxiety. November 16th, 2022, only a few weeks later, Trazodone was then started for insomnia. Mid-November, the following week, Prozac was started, and then the Prozac was abruptly discontinued after 4 days because her symptoms were worsening. In November 25th of 2022, Ambien was added for sleep, Remeron was added, and Klonopin was added for anxiety. November 29th, so 3 days later, 28th to the 29th, she sought another psychiatric opinion and reportedly wanted to stop all her medications. There was no benefit, the symptoms were worsening. On November 29th, Seroquel was started because bipolar disorder was being considered as a diagnosis at that time. December 2nd of 2022, the medication...
So I'm going to stop him for a second to kind of highlight what he was saying. So she saw 5 providers across 2 hospitals in 4 months. So starting in June of 2022, she started stating that she was having postpartum depression symptoms. Is when she first started reaching out to providers saying, hey, there's something going on. I'm not right. I'm not healthy. She's partially manic at this point in time. And then about a month and a half later, in August, she is suffering from severe anxiety, depression. Again, they are upping the amount of medications and drugs, and they are changing the dosage quite rapidly. So one of the biggest things with medications is you just don't put somebody on Seroquel 2.5 and then the 2 weeks later up them to 50 or 100 or anything like that. These are medications, and I'm sure Nora can attest, working in a medical adjacent field where you usually are on them 30 days, sometimes 60 days. Sometimes it takes 30 days for you to really even notice a difference in some of these medications. And men and women also have different physiological responses as well. So men may feel it more, women may feel it more, or it may take more time, so on and so forth. So normally you wouldn't jump medications like that. So in August, she was having severe depression, anxiety, debilitating, quote unquote out, and this is a quote from her husband, and insomnia. So she was basically getting less than 3 hours of sleep a day, reported by her and substantiated by her husband. And this is in August of 2022. By September, they had attempted to diagnose her with chronic generalized anxiety disorder and chronic adjustment disorder. And again, they increased all of these medications and added a lot more. So she was on pretty in-depth regimen, like a very, very in-depth regimen. She was not, and she was on all of these plus some more, and a lot of these are substantiated by her toxicology report. I mean, Zolof's SSRI, Nora, we've had this conversation about SSRIs and the dangers of them. I mean, Ativan is what I give patients to calm them the fuck down. Boost bar, trazodone, again, these are given to patients to calm them down. Ambien helps sleep. Klonopin, Seroquel, Valium, Lamictal, amitriptyline. Oh my God, the fact that she could even walk while taking a lot of these simultaneously is crazy to me. And the fact that these were all given to her in only a 4-month span. 4 months. And these were all pumped into her system. Even if and there is some debate on if she was taking them, if she was not taking them, why she had so many prescription bottles. So a lot of that, when it comes to that, what you're supposed to do, if they put you on, let's say, Ativan 0.25, and then they change your prescription to Ativan 0.5, you would stop the 0.25 and you would start taking the 0.5 because that is the new order that is prescribed. She was a nurse. She knew that. So it's not surprising to me that an Ativan 0.25 bottle would be half full and the Ativan 0.5 bottle would also be half full because she stopped one and started taking the other because the orders from the doctors changed. She seemed to be very meticulous and a little bit of a control freak given the diary entries we have seen. So it wouldn't surprise me that she has 50 bottles lying around that are half empty and the others are half full. But yeah, no, she was substantially over medicated for sure. I don't even know how this woman was functioning.
That's what I'm thinking. How was she
I don't know how she was functioning. I swear, mind you, when it comes to this part, because to me, the medication list and the over medicated and the fact that she went to 2 separate hospitals and one of them, South Shore Hospital, actually declined her. They wouldn't admit her because she was over medicated. South Shore Hospital said, no, baby, you're on too many medications. We're not taking you in.
That's insane.
Yeah. So like when the hospital says, hey, we know you need help. Hey, we know this is going on, but you are too over medicated for us to take you on.
You're a liability. We can't even bring you in. That's insane.
That's kind of crazy.
That's a red flag.
And
as a family member, I would have been like, something here's not right. And the hospital's like, you're a liability. You're overly medicated. Like, sorry, we don't want to even mess with your case. That's insane.
Yeah, and we learned that today from the nurse practitioner, Jessica Joletta. She's the one who was representing South Shore Hospital, and they chose to not admit her because she was over medicated. So we actually learned that today, that she was over medicated and South Shore Hospital declined her admittance. And
I think an interesting thing is like, it's a complex thing, right? I personally don't think that it is an excuse for you not to have consequences for your actions per se. I think the system failed you. And I think as women, when it comes to the medical field, the relationship with women and women's bodies, especially when you're giving birth, it's not great. Like, it just isn't. If for any person who's ever given birth, like, some people have good experiences, some people have bad experiences. It's not all the same. If you look at the history of women giving birth, through the medical field here in the United States in particular, it's not one that has very pretty pictures. At one point, they were just knocking women out and cutting them open and taking the babies out, like, not that long ago. So I think, women are not even, in some studies, like when it comes to like ADHD or other like autism, women weren't even included in the studies half of the time. So when it comes to women's health, a lot of the time, they're just kind of like guessing on what it is that they need to do. I do think that, postpartum psychosis is a thing. Like, I don't think that they're making it up. I just don't know whether, like, where do we draw the line with consequences? And if the system failed and just letting her off for 3 children that were unalive. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's such a hard thing to like really, I don't know, grasp. Because it's,
well, technically, Andrea Yates got off, Skeptic. She's technically in a mental institution. It was the second trial that got her off. And also recently there was African-American woman, I don't know the specific deals, during COVID, she unalived her kid and she recently got off shockingly. I think this is the only time I've ever seen a Black woman get off for killing their kids. Well, usually they kill their kids and, you know, nobody cares. No, there's no outrage when Black and Spanish women kill their kids. There's no national sympathy. I'm literally reading people say we should feel more sorry for her having to listen to her kids be killed than the kids being killed. Like, this is bananas to me. I feel like this
wicked bananas.
If this was a Black or Spanish woman, everybody would unanimously be saying, I'm sorry, bitch need to go to jail.
I agree with that aspect of it. I just think that in some ways, like the fact that like you have a system that she went through, right? I feel like she didn't, when you look at it from a mom's perspective, and if you were going through that, now me personally, I do try and do things as natural as I can, but I do believe in medicine. So I will go through, if I need to be medicated, I will get medicated, you know, but I will try, because a lot of things I think are gut issues, or you can try to do certain things. But if you did everything that was expected of you to do, and then you just ended up being overly like dosed with a bunch of drugs, and then you do, like, I don't know, I feel like she does need to be held accountable. But then at the same time,
you know, it's crazy. So when they go over, you know, there are certain scales that they use to decide if you are danger to yourself, danger to others, how likely you are to, you know, commit suicide, so on and so forth. So she has many noted SIs, so suicidal ideation. She has that noted throughout her medical chart and the various providers many times. But the one thing they did not agree on is if she had planning. So it's one thing to say, I feel like I'm going to kill myself, or I feel like I want to kill myself. It's another thing to say, I want to kill myself. Here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to wait till my husband leaves and I'm going to throw myself out the window. You know what I mean? There's a planning element there. And the crappy thing about mental health in the United States is they're not going to really do anything acutely until their planning element is there. Throughout a lot of the case documents and throughout a lot of like the court TV I've been watching, they all say, well, she didn't have planning. She didn't have planning. She was sick, and literally in your emergency room stating that she was sick. Just because she doesn't have a plan doesn't mean her or anybody else isn't going to commit suicide, right? So for me, I feel like a lot of the issues in American healthcare is the fact that they require you to check this box and this box and this box. And if you don't check this last box, fuck you. We're going to send you home, and, you know, no hate, no shade. And that's like my biggest thing with American healthcare is nobody's getting help because they don't check these 5 boxes in order to get this help. But her and so many other people need help that they aren't going to get because they don't check every freaking box. And that's the worst. And that legitimately is the worst part about it. So this is a snippet that I took from the original police report, kind of stating the start of our timeline. So on Tuesday, January 24th, 2023, approximately 6:11 p.m., Duxbury police were dispatched radio all cruisers to their former residence, 47 Summer Street, in the town of Duxbury for an attempted suicide where the wife, Lindsay Clancy, had cut her wrist, neck, and jumped out the window from the 2nd floor. Duxbury police responded to that address, located Mrs. Clancy on the ground. On the left side of the house, located Mrs. Clancy with her husband, the 911 caller, Patrick Clancy. It says Duxbury police officers were assessing Miss Clancy. Mr. Clancy entered the home to check on his children. And I want to pause there because that's super weird to me. I have done stints in EMS, and it's super weird to me that the police didn't go in the home, allowed him to go in the home first. That's like kind of bizarre. Typically, the police enter the home and clear it and would safe clear the scene. So we call it scene safety. So before EMS would even get out of the bus, the scene would have to be clear. So it's super weird to me that they allowed him to go inside, because at that point in time, we don't even know what's going on. We have a partially dead woman outside. So why are you allowing the husband to go in the home? What if there's the perpetrator in the home? So I thought that was kind of odd that they wouldn't even go in the home and secure it. For me, that's super odd.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
think
It's super
that's
odd. Why would you
protocol,
not go
right?
inside though? Why
Yeah,
would you not go
even
inside?
even if you call, because we've had a call like this one time. I think we left our own door open to our house, and we had to call the police. Like, I don't know, our door is open, something's going on, and they wouldn't let anyone go in until the police officers had cleared our whole house. It was kind of big, so they had to go all the way to the back. So I think that's interesting. I also think you see her, so you get there, this lady just jumped off, right? Because she jumped off the house, and she's like outside, like hurt, and you like, I don't know, the husband, what was his like, what was he doing this time? What is going on? He
So
just was
I'm,
like,
I'm going to get into that in his timeline. Gray, what do you think about it so far? Do you think it's a little odd that the police didn't do any sort of secure safety inside the home, not really knowing what kind of scene they walked into and seeing a half dead woman on the ground?
I think it's a little crazy hearing it, especially her jumping out the window. I don't know what the police could have done any differently. I'm looking at what you're saying about the medicine and about the stuff with the hospitals and things like that. I think those are the people that's liable. As far as the cops, them trying to rush to the scene, especially kids being harmed, I'm pretty sure adrenaline was pumping. People were upset, emotions running. So I don't know what the police could have necessarily done differently, but it seems like after, they actually looked at what was going on with her, that's where I feel like the problem is.
Yeah. All right. So before we move on, because at the scene right now, they found Lindsay. She's outside. It's cold. It's January. There's snow on the ground. The husband has now entered into the home. He has gone through the home into the basement and is screaming that his children are dead. He is screaming. It is in the police reports that he is screaming or yelling, quote in, quote out. But before we dive even more into that, the reason that the husband left. So the timeline that I have found per the documents is Lindsay, she calls in the food to this restaurant called 3V at 17:10. So at 5:10 p.m., Lindsay calls in the food. Patrick leaves. He goes to CVS at 5:32. He exits CVS at 5:37. He exits the door, takes a right-hand turn. There are no exterior cameras on that side at CVS, so we don't know. There's no getting his vehicle. We don't know. Their exterior cameras do not exist. So he exits at 5:37, takes a right out the door, presumably to go to his vehicle, and then he heads to this restaurant called 3V. He pulls in at approximately 17:54. So for most people, that is 5:54 p.m. He pays. The American Express says 5:55, and then presumably he exits. He goes to his car. He drives home. Dispatch is called at 6:10. So at 18:10. So all of this took 1 hour from the time she calls in the food to the time dispatch is called. Not when Patrick discovered her, but when dispatch was called, 1 hour total. Kind of fucking insane to allegedly murder your 3 kids, run upstairs, rearrange your house, drug yourself with lemonade, slit your wrist, slit your throat, and throw yourself out the window. In literally 1 hour to the minute. Is like fucking insane. Like insane.
Yeah, that definitely seems to be an issue for it to be a whole hour.
And so the police in the original documentation for this, the police officers timed it. So from 47 Summer Street in Duxbury to the CVS is only 3 minutes. It's only a 3 minute per the police. It's in their police report. From CVS to the 3V restaurant is only a 8-minute drive. And then from 3V restaurant to back home to 47 Summer Street is only a 9-minute drive. So a lot of people are online are wondering what from the home of 47 Summer Street to CVS. So that a 3-minute drive ended up being an almost 20 to 22-minute drive. So a lot of people online are wondering what took him so long, what happened. The police are saying it's only a 3-minute drive. Nora, what do you think?
I think the bitch is guilty. I think we have somebody in Idaho that stabbed up four people in literally 16 minutes. If we are saying that that's possible, I do believe she choked her kids in 1 hour. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's very possible. It took about 4 minutes for each of those babies to be unalived. Probably less for the baby, because she probably couldn't do it. And, you know, listening to her cry today, I was thinking, bitch, did you cry when you were killing your kids? When those babies were trusting you, did you cry? I have no sympathy for her. I believe she's guilty. I believe she did it. I feel bad for the husband. Good for him that he's remarried. Good for him that he divorced her. Sorry, I don't feel sorry for her. I have zero sympathy for her. I don't believe the conspiracies. I believe his DNA was everywhere because he lives there. That's his home. I don't believe he did this. I don't believe he had a hand in this. I believe she was on medication. She probably had psychosis. But I also believe that there are millions of women that get up day in and day out with 2-3 hours sleep, and they're not killing their kids. They are single mothers, 4, 5, 6, 7 kids. No man, no help. They're not killing their kids. She had a whole husband in bed with her every night, probably getting up with them babies. No sympathy for her. So it's probably a lack of sleep mixed with the psychosis. And yeah, do I believe that that contributed to it? Yeah, but we don't see people killing their kids every day. Sorry, like we just don't. And again, I don't believe the husband had anything to do with it. I believe this is why I know she was not mentally ill. The fact that she had this foresight, put in the order, make the husband go get the order. She knew the time it was going to take. That shows me she's not mentally ill. A mentally ill person would not be that clear to do that. I had more sympathy again for chick that drowned her kids, Yates, because she knew her husband was going to be gone all day. When she was mentally clear-minded, she knows that's a routine. However, this girl, this took foresight, this took planning. And yes, I believe she stabbed herself or cut herself because she was probably, you know, mentally a little off. But I don't think it's to the point where I should say she's going to be not guilty. What I believe needs to happen, and also in Massachusetts, I found out you don't get not guilty by reason of insanity. It's called criminally not negligent or criminally not negligent, something like that. So basically, she's going to, she's going to go to a mental institution, but potentially they can let her out at some point in Massachusetts. There's a potential that she can be let out. Although she's luckily, I'm sorry, she's in a wheelchair, which is where she needs to be. She should have been dead. And I'm sorry that she wasn't dead because that's what should have happened.
I mean, that's valid. I mean, the case is still ongoing, so obviously we will see more and more information to come out. I mean, so far the defense hasn't even gone. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what more happens. So I took a snippet from the original documents from the unsealed police report. But before we go, Kamal, what do you think? You've been awfully quiet.
So have these white hoes ain't got no home training, don't they? God damn. Jesus Christ, man. Shit. Hey, I agree with Nora. There's single mothers out here raising 3 or 4 kids, and they ain't thinking about Bart Simpson and they fucking kids. Are you kidding me? God damn. This woman, mental illness, right? You know what? I'm gonna play the same trope. I'm about to go outside later on today, right? Because I'm hungry, y'all. I ain't ate today, right? And I'm gonna just start slapping motherfuckers and be like, yo, my mental health is fucked up. I can't believe it. Like, I can't think. So I got the right to slap and drown motherfuckers and DDT niggas and all types of shit. Because my mental health is fucked up because I haven't ate food today. Right? I mean, god damn. Mental health, my ass. You feel me? And yeah, the white bro is drugged up, but let's be real. We know white folks can function on drugs. We saw Eminem. Let's stop the bullshit. This woman out here, Bart Simpson, her kids. You feel me? I don't feel no fucking sympathy at all. She just following the footsteps of her white zaddy. Y'all heard about that white man a couple weeks ago killed all his kids and his wife? And he said it was mental health issues too. What was it? The dog was talking to you? Yeah. Kill all your kids and your wife. Let me guess, the goldfish was talking to her ass, right? Like, yeah, you're going to have to kill the little 8-month-old, right? Because that motherfucker back talking. I don't know, man. I know the medical system fucked up, but I know there's going to be a dark joke, but damn, at least the medical system ain't fucking over us black folks. They fucking over everybody at this point. Shit. Now, at this point, I might going to be silent for the rest of the episode unless y'all ask me a specific question.
Hey, come on.
Because I'm learning a lot.
They're not prescribing that many meds to black women. Let me tell you, I had postpartum depression. It took damn near me going hysterically crying for them to finally give me something. Nobody recognized it. It was actually my son's pediatrician that recognized it. And she had to call my OBGYN. So, like, no sympathy. Sorry, just don't.
Damn,
and they don't give us the good drugs. They give us the weak shit, 5 milligrams. And skeptic, am I lying? People of color, you're not. For real. You got to be like damn near in the mental institution for them to drug you up like this.
Yeah, I will
Look, y'all might not ever hear me say this again, but the black and brown people, man, getting the same type of drugs. This shit crazy. White folks getting vimetazine, hamazine, fucking codeine, zakazine, all types of shit. Right?
But you know what?
And she was like, you know what? I'm mentally disturbed, but motherfucking husband, I want chow mein for dinner tonight. You better go to that restaurant we like to eat. Man, fuck out of here with this bullshit, man. Hey, let her, is she still alive? Let her rot under the fucking jail. Hopefully she get more time than that white OnlyFans broad that killed that Sambo of a Nigerian motherfucker.
Oh man,
that
was I know who you're talking about. Oh my god. But oh god, I can't get distracted by that. Can't get distracted by that. Sorry. We're gonna stay on topic.
I didn't know that she had gone off. I will say, but you're seeing that they have an opioid crisis in their community. And I think that it's a retribution, like that's the cause and effect of it. When you start overly medicating people, and they do overly medicate children. I think RFK had came out and said something about black children are overly medicated. No, they're not. No, they're not. It's actually the opposite. And so when you start medicating, children from a very, very young age, and you over medicate a whole community, then what you have, the outcome of that is a crisis. You can't just take people off of medications like these. I don't know if y'all know, but the antidepressants, I had a friend who got it off of an SSRI and then got pregnant shortly after that. She was having problems getting pregnant, and I'm not saying that's the reason why, but she just wanted to get off of them. She was like, I'm good now, whatever. It took her, she said it was harder to stop taking her SSRIs than it was to stop vaping. Like, she was like, it was worse to get off of them than how I felt prior.
Sick. You
and then also
get sick.
Someone had said, when you go and talk to someone, when you have talk therapy or you go to a therapist, you should have a goal. Like, I feel like this. My goal is to feel like this. It's not for you to be on something for the next decade. It's for you to learn like mannerisms, or to learn what is my trigger and what should I do. If going outside and going for a walk or touching grass or going swimming or whatever it is that makes you more like stable, do that instead of being prescribed something and having to have it. You literally will lose your shit if you don't have it. Like, if you so happen to forget it or something. I don't think we're supposed to exist like that.
So right up here is a snippet of the police department's report on the autopsies. So mind you, this is only the autopsy findings for Cora and Dawson, because they were the ones that arrived. They were dead on arrival, and they were the ones that immediately went to the medical examiner. So it seems, from what I'm reading, the small bruising on both sides of the legs, back of the right leg, back of the right arm, ligature around the neck, which is conjunction with the fact that they were strangled by exercise bands. And skeletal x-rays were negative for trauma. So at least they weren't beat the fuck up. I think she used her body weight to pin them down, strangle them, is what I'm gathering from this. And both of their autopsies were pretty similar, which is why they're listed here. They had similar injuries. So from what I'm gathering, it looks like she probably utilized her body weight on their legs and their arms in order to strangle them. There is some I don't want to say internet rumors, but I haven't been able to substantiate it yet, is the toxicology report for the kids allegedly does show some of her medication in their system. So there could have been a potential of the children being drugged, which obviously would have made them more groggy and I guess easier to handle, for lack of a better term. I know it's disgusting having to say it this way, but
more groggy, and or the bitch thought she could poison them. And when they didn't get poisoned, she probably choked them out.
Maybe. I will say that theory does, in my opinion, does weigh some credence, because generally women, when they murder their children, they don't do it in a violent way. We typically don't strangle our children. We don't shoot them. We don't slice them up. That is more of a masculine way of murder, because it comes down to power, control, and so on and so forth. We don't need to get into the psychology of that. Usually women drown or they smother because it's clean, it's easy, they feel better, for lack of a better term. So she could have gone with the poisoning, utilizing her readily available medications that we already know were throughout the fucking house everywhere. And I mean, that would have been an easy way to do it, to be honest. Much easier than strangling your children and leaving them. So maybe that was what she started with, and she ended with the utilizing of the exercise bands. So a lot of people like to bring, oh, Kamal, you go. Come on, Kamal.
If she did that, wouldn't that throw out the mental illness thing, right?
Yeah. However, the state of Massachusetts hasn't angled it as a poison. So I don't think the state of Massachusetts thinks she poisoned them. However, I agree with Nora that it is a plausible theory, because she does have medications readily available.
Also, it's not that in the Massachusetts, because I was researching today, there's a level of what mental illness is. It's not just about it being something wrong that she did. It's about her knowing that it was wrong. If she knows it's wrong, then that's not mental illness. But if she doesn't know what she's doing is wrong, that's considered mental illness. That's the threshold for mental illness in Massachusetts.
And what Massachusetts also, a big sticking point with them is it's at the time of the murders. It doesn't matter if it's before, it doesn't matter if it's after. It has to be at the exact moment of the murders. Were you in psychosis? Were you realizing what you were doing at that exact moment? So I feel like that too adds another layer of trickiness, because like if you've planned this out, we can't even take your planning into account. We can only take your mental capabilities at the moment of the murder, not even after and not even before, which kind of makes it, in my opinion, a little tricky to think about. So those are some of the injuries that two of the children sustained. I do not have the report for the youngest, for Callan, because he was pronounced dead at the hospital. He was not dead at the scene. So some of the injuries for Lindsay Clancy. So I wasn't able to snippet this, but I will read off some of her injuries. So most of it is just a massive amount of fractures. She has bilateral non-displaced C4 fracture. So your spine is split into three parts. So you have your cervical, which is like from here to here. You have your thoracic, which encompasses your back. And then you have your lumbar, which is like the base, your tailbone, for lack of a better term. So basically she broke from the middle of her neck all the way down halfway through her thoracic, which explains why she is paralyzed. So she has a massive amount of fractures and breaks, which for me is kind of surprising, because she only went out a second-story window. I know people in this very room with me who used to snowboard off second-story windows, and they didn't break nothing. So it's so crazy.
I have to agree with you on that. In my job and things I've seen,
right?
That don't make sense. Second story, that don't make sense. I know somebody that fell off 4 or 5 flights and they're able to walk to this day. So I agree with you. That's very odd.
That was like super odd when I was looking for it. We're looking at like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 8 fractures, and some of it looks like it's fractured on both sides. It's not just
unless
like it's fractured
she
on both sides.
hit her head straight down. I wonder if she had something tied to her, because I do know someone, they dived in like a shallow thing of water and then they broke their neck like that. And it was really shallow. It was like 3 feet of water and he broke their neck. So that's the only way I could think it could happen is if she hit her head first when she fell. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like she went down like that.
Yeah,
Like she dove.
Yeah, she would have, for sure, she would have had to have dove. I mean, plenty of people, we see videos all the time on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, of drunk people doing crazy shit off roofs, and they are fine, live to tell the tale, they get up and walk away. So it's kind of crazy that she has this many fractures and multiple places from just the second story window. So I feel like there definitely might be a little bit more there. I wish they had utilized a little bit more CSI for reenactment to make it more palatable for the jury, because it would help, because most jury people are like us. They're like, that shouldn't have hurt you. I mean, she coded twice, so she died twice. All of these injuries accumulated. So she ended up dying twice, and they revived her twice. Should not have caused those kind of fractures.
They just let that hoe die. Shit.
And another thing that is a sticking point, especially as like a medical person, is the fact that her core body temperature was 82 degrees. Like, that is so crazy to me, because we've established from like 5:10 to 6:11 when dispatch was called, right? So dispatch is called at 6:11, and 5:10 she makes that phone call. So, and he doesn't walk into CVS until like 5:32. So from 6:10 to 5:32, he leaves at some point in time. So essentially we can say 5:19 to, she had to have been outside for, I don't know, at least 20 minutes at minimum. So she really only had about 20 minutes to commit these murders and do all the stuff that she did. But the biggest thing is it doesn't explain the drop in core body temperature to 82 degrees. So that seems to be a little bit of a medical anomaly, because you got to think she had spinal fluid leaking out of her ears and her mouth, because she had literally broken everything. Her thyroid was broken. So her thyroid was ruptured, sorry. So it makes me wonder if she hadn't tried to commit suicide via rope that we just don't know about. Maybe the investigators didn't look into it because she was already half dead outside. But your thyroid wouldn't burst by you being thrown out the window. You know what I mean? Like, that's an odd internal injury, in my opinion, that is kind of unexplained. And maybe I'm like stuck on it, but it's such an odd injury that just is not explained by the list of her injuries.
That is so insane to even think about. It's like so crazy. And like, to be honest with you, where I live at, they had someone that was like on K2 or something, and he was so hot, and he was like he was being tased repeatedly and felt nothing, and everyone kept like sharing around the videos of him because he looked like a superhero. Like, they could not stop him. At one point, they were shooting him with like the bean bags or whatever. He was like nothing. Like, he was just like raw. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like there's some things that it's like, maybe she did try to do that, and then she dove out of the window, and then to still make it is insane. Like, it's crazy.
Wasn't she hopped up on all them drugs? I mean, drug strength is real, y'all. Have you ever seen a meth try to do 300 pounds of lifting? They usually hit that shit and be 120.
So these were the drugs listed in her toxicology report. So she had an above average dose of Seroquel, more higher than normal therapeutic levels, what I'm trying to say. So Seroquel, Lamictal, mirtazapine, trazodone, and she did have a benzodiazepine. So either the Ativan or Valium in her case. So we have the Seroquel, Lamictal, mirtazapine, trazodone, and more than likely probably Ativan. So that was in her toxicology report. So, I mean, I was talking with one of the providers that I work with, and I've seen some other providers. So she was definitely fucked up. She was definitely in shock. She was definitely leaking spinal fluid, which all could contribute to her lower than average body temperature, but nothing in medical science would make any individual lose 16 degrees of body temperature in 30 minutes or less than 30 minutes, because we can't even prove the husband left at 5:10 because he didn't walk into CVS until 5:32. And according to the police, it's a 3-minute ride. So if you deduct 3 minutes, nothing. And thus far, I have yet to find a medical journal that can explain the core body temperature of 16-degree loss in about 25 minutes. So that's a pretty big sticking point. She was definitely sustained quite a bit of injury, but I don't know. I'm still combing medical journals to see if there's anything that maybe we're missing, but 16 degrees in 30 minutes, 25 minutes is a massive drop. Massive drop.
They said it's because when you have an injury to your spine, it can cause you not to regulate your body. That's
so
what I'm reading it saying.
Thyroid, spine, obviously a head injury because she hit the ground. So we have a head injury, we have her thyroid, fractured spine. So for sure, she was definitely in shock for sure. And all the mechanisms that she would have to regulate her body heat were disabled and non-functional, which is why she lived, mind you. The only reason she's alive is because her body did not thermoregulate and it allowed itself to cool down to the point where she could be revived. Because the human body is pretty cool like that. It's like, you're fucked up, bitch. We're gonna hibernate. And it's essentially what it did, which I think is kind of cool. Not in her case, but just in general.
Yo,
Yeah.
These evil motherfuckers living through some shit, don't they?
Right.
How Crocodile Dundee get stabbed by a stingray and this broad jumps off, break every bone in her fucking vertebrae, choked every kid in her fucking family, and she still stay alive. This shit is crazy.
Literally spinal cord fluids coming out of her ears. Like, what? Then you have the lady that killed that other lady when she was going to her wedding. The drunk girl survives. The innocent girl just dies. It's like, what? You have I don't know. It's crazy. See these people that should die, and they're the ones that make it, and everyone else dies. It's crazy.
Gray, you haven't said anything in a while. What do you think?
For me, I would say, like, just leave the kids in the house. Like, I'm just speaking generically. I'm not gonna speak on medical stuff. That's not my expertise. But like, I would have just said, like, adoption, leave, like, abandon them. You could have just left them, like, and just said, forget it. I'm done with this, and drive somewhere else. So that's my thought process on it. As far as like all the medical stuff and her spinal fluid and her hibernating and all of that, that's way above my pay grade. But I'm shocked, and I'm with skeptic. Like, wow, she did all that, and she's still alive. Come on, I'm going off about it, but I'm just like, True Crime Wednesdays. That's all I can say.
God, like this, I can see why people like are obsessed. We're all like armchair detectives at this point in time because it's like such a crazy thing. Murdering all 3 of your children and then making the attempt to allegedly suicide yourself in it of itself is just freaking wild. Those 2 elements together is just crazy. And then when you start looking at the reports, you start seeing what happened. That is even more crazy. So it's like, holy shit, all of this happened in a 1-hour span. I mean, I have never been that productive in my life in 1 hour. Man, I procrastinate like a motherfucker. So
I was thinking the same
procrastinating.
When you were like, why did it take them so long? I'm like, it probably takes me 30 minutes to get to a store that's 5 minutes away. Because I'm like, oh, such and such thing. Or I'll be driving, or I'll stop, or I'll be, I don't know what I do. But
Man,
it takes
me
me
too. I be
30 minutes
lollygagging. I don't be doing anything quick. I'm lollygagging when I do
If
stuff.
people track me, they would be questioning why it takes me an hour to do all. It would have taken me an hour to do all that too. Like, I don't know. I sometimes have to go pick up food or whatever. And I'm just like, it takes me a long time. Just like save it for me. I don't know why it takes me so long. It just does. I can go to Walmart and go to the restaurant and pick up something, and it'll be an hour and a half. I'm like, what? How?
So today they went over some interesting commentary. Obviously, today is day 12 for the court case. So any viewers, if you're watching, today is day 12. You are going to have to kind of brush up on all of the other days. It is so expansive. They had over 200 people on the witness list, and they had to condense it down from there. So if you can imagine, there is a ton of information and a ton of people, and what we are talking about is just like the very tip of the iceberg. We will definitely have to continue this part 2 next Wednesday, because I will have more information talking more about the evidence or lack thereof, more alternate theories about what is happening, what may happen, and just go over some more of the commentary, because we did get some good kernels today from some of the medical professionals that maybe the medical care that Lindsay got wasn't that good. Maybe there was some medical malpractice in ways. I will say that Lindsay's husband has a $2.7 million civil lawsuit against all of the named providers that are currently in this criminal court case, representing the estate of the 3 Clancy children. So that civil case is also ongoing as well.
But wouldn't that like make the case for them? Wouldn't that like prove the point that she was incompetent? Like, she literally was not in her right mind if it was malpractice.
He's still standing by her, Skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he divorced her, he is still supporting her. He just has left her and moved on with his life. And I'm not, hey, y'all don't gotta agree with me. I'm probably gonna be the only woman to say this.
Yes.
Good for him. But he's still supporting her. Let me be clear. He got her, she has the best, and Neil probably can speak to this. She has one of the best defense attorneys in all of Massachusetts, I'm hearing.
Yes. So Reddington is one of the best defense attorneys. I will say Patrick Clancy had nothing to do with her defense attorney. It was her parents. So an interesting tidbit, which adds a little bit of a different layer to maybe their relationship or what was happening. So obviously Lindsay Clancy, for lack of a better term, she's fucked up. I mean, she died twice. She is fucked up. And so after she presumably wakes up in the first hospital in the ICU, one of the very first things she does is makes a phone call. A psychiatrist allows her to use their personal phone to make a phone call. And the police weren't in the room or anything like that. They weren't monitoring. They weren't in the room. They don't even know what was said. However, the psychiatrist implied that Lindsay make a confession to her husband and implied that she was hearing voices. So before that point in time, Lindsay, it was never documented that Lindsay had heard voices or anything. And the confession of the murders actually wasn't a confession to police or anything like that. It was a confession while she was in the ICU, barely conscious, by an overzealous psychiatrist who allowed her to use his personal phone to call her former husband, which I thought was like super bizarre practice. I thought that was a little weird. However, when Lindsay actually regained consciousness, one of the first things she did was remove Patrick, and they were still married at the time, as her medical proxy or DPOA, for lack of a term, to her parents. So it is her parents that has been kind of supporting her since the 2023 moving forward. And it is also her parents that have helped her secure Reddington as her criminal defense attorney.
I'm sorry, but I would have a problem with my husband. I went crazy, and you mean to tell me your priority was to get remarried? Yeah, I would have a problem with that. Like, what?
I could see both. I could see both. I could see you.
Don't man dash right now. The woman is on trial.
Yeah, I'm not gonna man.
This is the man cave, okay? God damn.
How do you have time? I would be so sick in my head. Like,
she could have been to live with it. He was getting sick of her ass. She could have been a freaking headache. I've been in relationships where the tail end, the last year, you sick of the person. You with them, especially when it's your kid's father or your child's, your partner. You tired of them. Like, you're mentally checked out. I don't feel bad. I'm sorry. I'm not going to shame him. I'm just not. And I believe in holding men accountable, but I'm happy for him. Good for him. I mean, 3 of his kids was killed by her. I don't know.
It's
I
just like
mean,
for my
Can I ask,
mental
how
health, I
old
don't
were
even
the
know.
kids?
5, 3, and 8 months.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say this, and I need nobody to get offended. 5, 3, and 8 months, all of them separately and together, are difficult ages to deal with. Are difficult. I'm not saying that to excuse her. I'm just saying, as a parent in general, making just like a general observation. If you have children, you understand. 8 months is a difficult age. You are still considered postpartum, and not everybody has an easy baby. I'm not saying that this is the case with Callan. I'm just saying in general, not everybody has an easy baby. And then when you add a second child into the mix, with only a couple, 2.5-year age difference, obviously 3 years old. You guys know the terrible threes. It's not the terrible twos, it's the terrible threes. They're taller and smarter. You know, my kids are 3 years apart, so I absolutely understand what it's like to have like a newborn and a 3-year-old together, trying to potty train your 3-year-old, trying to do all this with your 3-year-old, plus you have a newborn, and then to add like a 5-year-old into the mix as well.
I don't know how it's possible. Like, also, you don't take into account that your body has lost all of these nutrients. You're sleep deprived. Like, I don't know if people understand how sleep deprived you are, where you are like so out of it. You don't know what's going on. And then you have mom brain because you've depleted yourself of vitamins. You're not focused on yourself. You're trying to keep this baby human alive while not sleeping, while still dealing with like life, you know? So, I mean, I can see it. I can see it and I can understand it. And I have heard, you know, I just like, I don't know, like, I don't know. It's a crazy thing of like, where do consequences come in? Where obviously what Nora is saying is true because the relationship was not doing well, obviously. It seemed like both of them were. And the fact that he's still supporting her on the other way, I feel like emotionally I need more support than I do like with finances. It's crazy because it almost seems like, yeah, he saw her like a burden. Like, I still have to take care of you. Let me pay your checks. But emotionally, I have completely moved on. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a weird thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna put something on the screen really
man
quick.
bashing like a mug out here. God damn.
Hold on. Let me add.
Strangled.
Let me add something to the screen really quick. See if I can.
Can I say something though?
Yeah, absolutely. Floor is yours, dear.
You know, I didn't want to touch this angle, but y'all already touched on it, so I'm gonna just go there. You know, I'm getting my ultra detective work on. So, what if it was the kids? You know, we know how some of them white kids be. They be like, "Fuck you, mom! I will kill you right now." That 5-year-old play Fortnite, okay? Now, I don't know if that 5-year-old said that, but I'm doing all my detective work. We got to go at all angles. What if that happened? Then what?
Were any of her kids even in school? I feel like they're so young at that.
The 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
And I think the 3-year-olds too. The 3-year-old was going to like a daycare program of sorts, at least one day a week. So I had read that the children had a nanny until they decided that Lindsay was not able to go back to work, rightfully so. She was batshit crazy. We can all attest that she had psychiatric problems, whether it was psychosis or what. She obviously was going through some shit, and she's definitely not safe to see patients at all whatsoever. So they had got rid of the nanny, and allegedly they had scaled back the daycare for the 3-year-old. So she would have been home a little bit more with the 8-month-old and the 3-year-old, but the 5-year-old should have still been in school. I mean, kindergarten is mandatory in New England anyway, so I mean, you can't get out of it. So it's not like to Nora's credit, there were breaks. The 5-year-old would have been in kindergarten. The 3-year-old, at least once a week, was going to some sort of daycare program. So on a daily basis, it really would have been the 8-month-olds the majority of the time, and 3-month-old the majority of the time, while the 5-year-old would have been in school in kindergarten. Just my thoughts.
Come on, this person's confirming what you said. They said the kids tried to kill him.
See, hey, I'm just saying, you feel me? I watch some horror films where the kids were something else. So, we got to do all the detective work. You feel me? We know this woman's a bastard and all. You feel me? But you just never know. The kids might be on some shit. You feel me? Fuck them kids didn't just come out of nowhere. Had to come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we're clearly gonna have to continue this next Wednesday for a part 2. And I'll come better prepared with more videos. So if anybody is watching, you need to subscribe and come back for part 2. Armchair Criminal Minds. None of us have degrees in this stuff, so don't take what we say with a grain of salt, okay? Thank you so much. Disclaimer.
I'll play it. If you're watching right now, hit the subscribe button and press the notification bell. So, Mia, you know how to do the final thought thing?
No, I'm like a little kid. You guys always do it.
All right. So you just go to the person face and you just click the maximize on the screen. So, Skeptic, what's your final thoughts?
If you feel like you need to talk to someone, get help and talk to someone. If you feel like, especially for the parents, if it's too much, take a break. I feel like it's better for you to say, I can't do it and I need help and this is too much for me, and feel like you're defeated, than to do something that is irreversible. Like, I agree with Gray on that. If you cannot handle it, then give up the responsibility. Let someone who can handle have the responsibility. If kids need to go with grandparents and need to go with aunts, I'm not gonna lie to you, I have a big support system. I'm like, I need a break. I need whatever. We need whatever time. And I take my time. I only have one kid too, so I can't handle a lot. I'm like, done. Tap out. But so I do think that it's important for parents to not feel, guilt tripped if you need to take some time alone. Like, we take vacations, no kid. We take vacations with kid. So like, take your time.
For sure. Mia, you see how to do it? Just on the screen. Like,
on the bottom row where you see the
yeah,
you see the uploads, you touch a button that says solo layout.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Kamal, what's your final thoughts?
This was a very interesting episode. This was like some true crime shit, and believe it or not, I like true crime. Yeah, I'll be watching them shows and listening to some of them podcasts, and so this was a great episode. Shout out to Mia, first time hosting, did a great job. You feel me? Shout out to the new party. Y'all hit the notification bell so you know when they go live. You feel me? Also, that white hoe crazy. I don't care how many drugs she had in her. I know some functioning motherfuckers on drugs, and they ain't thinking about fucking strangling their kids. No matter how, I know, nerve-wracking kids can be. Okay? That's a crazy thought. You be like, I'm going to tell my husband to go Thai food, and then I'm about to go goddamn stun one of my kids and rock bottom the other one to death. Nah, that ain't mental illness. That's premeditated. Y'all take it how y'all want. Hey, y'all been bringing some crazy white folks on here, from Paris Hilton to Lindsay Clancy. This is fucking crazy.
Facts.
Shout out to everybody on the panel. Have a good night, y'all, in the chat.
Gray, what's your final thoughts?
Great show. This is Mia night now, so it's True Crime Wednesdays. I don't know if we can call it the man cave anymore. Great job, Mia. We were in a view slump, so like you got a lot of views tonight. So great job. I'll know more about the Lindsay Clancy case. I felt like all you guys were like scientists and doctors, and I was over here like in elementary school. So I'm gonna learn more about spinal tap fluid and all of that, so I can be more of a good content creator with this. But I do this every Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Have a good night.
And Miss Nora, what is your final thoughts?
What is happening in the demonic state of Massachusetts? First, y'all done approved unlimited abortion, 7, 8, 9 months, thanks to your governor, Healy. Now we got people literally crying alligator tears for a whole child murder. This is an infanticider. She's sitting here. She's about to get off because she can't even sit in the room to listen to what she did. I tell you, they said Florida was FTK, fuck them kids. I think Massachusetts now gets that title. Fuck them kids. That's my final thoughts. Come back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Kimberly will be hosting our little leftist on the panel. So if you want a leftist perspective, come back.
Perfect. And for my final thoughts, this was a fantastic episode. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with me. This is my first time hosting, and hopefully I will see everybody back next Wednesday. Wednesdays are going to be True Crime moving forward, where I pick a very popular criminal case ongoing or potential previous cases that we're shedding new light on. And the next couple weeks, I really want to also do a segment on the Idaho 4. So like and subscribe, follow all of us on here, and come back for that. Next week will be Lindsay Clancy trial part 2. And hopefully in 3 weeks, it will be the Idaho 4. And that will probably be 2 to 3 parts for that. So definitely come back. It's going to be True Crime Wednesdays.
You just ended it in the top.
Sisters,
We shall not yield to tyranny.
our cause just, we will prevail. The fight
Hello,
for our
history
rights.
buffs. Ready for a journey back? Look at this encampment. The spirit of 76 is alive.
Bobby, at this
Hello,
point,
history.
shame on you. Shame on you. Because we are being played as the American people.